Doug, a report came out about the dysfunction out in Berea that was the Browns before Baker Mayfield, Freddie Kitchen, John Dorsey. I got to believe, as a guy that covers the Browns, that dysfunction is a good thing, because if there wasn't that dysfunction and they were that bad, I think the franchise was in significantly more trouble than it's in right now.
Yeah, it's like, why have they stunk? Oh, yeah, they haven't been very good for a while. So, there's been a lot of local reporting on that, too, that I think any Browns fans who read that story certainly wasn't surprised by it. It helped lay bare a little bit some of the specifics. But this is what we've known in the Jimmy Haslam era. And so the question as we stand now looking forward is, there's really only two options. One is Jimmy Haslam keeps doing what he's doing, which is sort of interfering in decisions, overruling some things, having a quick trigger finger. And the first sign of anything going wrong with Freddie Kitchens and John Dorsey, or he doesn't trust them and he helps them, make mistakes, and we repeat the cycle, or he learned from it. Or finally you say, well, this hasn't been working. Let's try something different. So I do think, and I wrote about it from the news conference, that you can go back. It's a litany of Jimmy Haslam leading the news conference when they're hiring someone or firing someone. Jimmy Haslam was always the first guy up there saying, we made this decision as the Browns, and this time it wasn't him. So I took that as a sign. That reporting in that story from Seth Wickersham leads you to believe that John Dorsey has some more power in that building. And so at some point, everybody's got to learn a little bit, right? So I think we can be hopeful that the mistakes are maybe in the past, not everything solved, but maybe in the past, and maybe that John Dorsey and Freddie Kitchens are going to be allowed to do their jobs and not fight with each other and not have the owner interfere as much, and that will be progress from the past.
Let's put it in this context. Obviously, one of the things that makes a good owner is they're willing to spend money to improve the product. Isn't building an infrastructure and a culture that enables people to do their job the main part of being a good owner? In other words, let the football guys do the football things.
Yeah, but again, rich owners meddling is certainly not a new story in professional sports. So, and I wrote a column when they fired Hugh Jackson, like maybe it's time for Jimmy Haslam and the Haslams just to walk away for 2 years and just get out of the building and just cash the checks. And that's the one thing I'd like to point out here. Everybody always gives the owner for well, he writes the checks. Guess what the owners do more than write checks? They cash checks even more. So they're making money while they're doing this stuff. You don't just have to say, well, they're paying for stuff. They have the right to do anything. They're okay. So they can cash their check and get out of the way. That was wishful thinking, right? He's not completely going to go away. But I do think, this structure is better. To your point, setting up that structure. Freddie Kitchens reporting to John Dorsey is a big deal. It's better structure. The previous structure basically guaranteed infighting. So I don't think we're going to have that here. And again, that is at least some little sign of Jimmy Haslam learning from the past, that now he doesn't have the coach and the GM here going to the owner to have a fight. We got John Dorsey on top, and that's better.
I don't remember a Browns GM that had been a GM at a successful organization, or a GM period, before, since their reincarnation in 1999 when they had Dwight Clark, who just was not a GM. I mean, do you remember that?
Joe Banner was pretty, but Joe Banner had success in Philadelphia when he got here, and again, he had the power here. I mean, Mike Holmgren was in charge here. That guy, I mean, he was a coach, I guess, in Green Bay. It wasn't the same thing, but Joe Banner had experience in structures and leadership and leading a successful team. But to your point, they've also had a bunch of guys, and again, the Seth Wickersham story pointed this out. Ray Farmer couldn't even believe that Ray Farmer got hired. So they've also hired a lot of guys who had never done it before, and I do think a part of the Browns' hope, and I do think there's a lot of hope with the fans around John Dorsey, around Baker Mayfield first, but around John Dorsey, and part of that is that the guy's been in the league and done it before.